Attention all those beautiful viewers craving some comeuppance for the Trump administration. Vice President and furniture enthusiast J.D. Vance just got some dreadful news from his boss and their allies. News that could signal the end of his political career. In case you're still wondering if Trump is willing to use Vance as a fall guy, or in case you're just really sick of the hillbilly Teletubbies bootlicking, you will want to see this new report. All the Scotch-guarded details coming up next on The David Reddish Show. Welcome to the show, beautiful Occupy Democrats viewers. I'm David Reddish. And a reminder, subscribe to our new channel now so you don't miss breaking stories like this one. But we have a lot to cover here, so let's get into it. Few Trump administration officials have the onus of J.D. Vance, a self-described born-again Catholic who doesn't take issue with President Syphilis quarreling with the Pope, and a man who trumpets white Christian nationalist dog whistles while married to a Hindu Indian-American woman. And where does he get his eye makeup? Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's shame. And right now, J.D. Vance has no shortage of that. Check out how the nation views the racist Care Bear vice president.
J.D. Vance is not doing too hot to trot at this point. Look at this. Okay, J.D. Vance's net popularity, this should actually be a plus. There we go. Plus 3 points. Then we go to minus 18 points at this point. That is a 21-point swing in the wrong direction. J.D. Vance started off his vice presidency in plus territory, and now he is in negative territory. Down he goes, J.D. Vance getting dragged down along with the President of the United States.
Not looking too good for J.D. there, is it? And this polling came ahead of his latest blow. Stay with me here. As you may recall, last week Vance landed himself in the headlines again, taking the extraordinary step of campaigning for a foreign leader, and an authoritarian one at that. Hungary's Viktor Orban. And how did that pan out?
Hungary's far-right nationalist leader, Viktor Orban, was defeated in an election yesterday. This brings to an end his 16 years in office. Orban was heavily backed by the Trump administration, but he lost to his center-right rival, Peter Magyar, in a landslide. It's a result that could have major implications for the European Union and the Ukraine war. NBC News international correspondent Molly Hunter joins us now with more on this. So, Molly, Orban was embraced by the far right globally, including here in America. Well, critics say under his leadership, Hungary is no longer considered a full democracy. He conceded last night following a pretty resounding defeat. What's he saying? What's been the reaction in Hungary?
Yeah, Joe, resounding defeat is definitely an understatement. It was a landslide, as you said. Now, he did concede last night with about 98% of the votes in. It was a very short speech, but he said the results were, quote, clear.
So the people of Hungary have clawed back their country after 16 years under a would-be fascist blimp. Americans take heed. And apart from the shameful and politically dubious distinction of trying to influence a foreign election, something we generally don't like in this country, looking at you, Putin and Netanyahu. Apart from Vance becoming a Trump crony and trying to affect the outcome of foreign elections, or perhaps because of it, this morning Vance is stinging from yet another blow, this one that offers an ominous harbinger for his political ambitions. Take a look at this. This morning, the Daily Beast reports that Vance has become mascara non grata among the MAGA faithful at home and abroad after his disastrous campaign to support Viktor Orban backfired. Foreign leaders have dubbed Vance's campaign a, quote, really dumb move, close quote. The article goes on to quote a number of foreign politicians and officials who once welcomed Trump and Vance as allies in their anti-democratic and authoritarian movements. Belgian Defense Minister Theo Franken, an immigration critic and nationalist with the New Flemish Alliance Party, said, quote, the MAGAs should really stop campaigning internationally because everyone and everything they support loses the elections, close quote. Oh, and it gets worse. One unnamed official from National Rally, that's National Front, France's far-right party, placed blame for Orban's loss, at least in part, at the feet of Vance, noting that the White House is currently causing worldwide upheaval and anxiety, and that the presence of Vance likely offended Hungarians and cemented votes against Orban. It didn't help that Vance also attacked the EU, claiming that EU leadership in Brussels was also hampering Orban's campaign. Apparently, Vance forgot that Hungary is a member of the EU and that EU leadership has a right to comment on the leadership of its members, as opposed to an American vice president campaigning abroad and trying to influence a foreign election. So in other words, just as Vance's approval is in free fall here at home, so it is abroad. And if Vance thinks that by acting as point person to campaign for Orban, or, of course, acting as chief negotiator in peace talks with Iran, peace talks that failed miserably, if Vance thinks any of this improves his stature and makes him heir apparent to Trump, he is sorely mistaken. And while Vance may one day say his support of Trump was a mistake, or that he supported him out of loyalty while having deep policy disagreements, after all, Vance once likened Trump to Hitler. If Vance thinks he can worm out of the onus here, he has another thing coming. At this point, I don't see how any former Trump official will have a political future, and certainly not running for president. If you need further proof, recall that Jeb Bush, in his 2016 White House bid, actually placed below the write-in candidate D's nuts in some primaries, all thanks to his connection to his brother, one of the most disastrous presidents in U.S. history. And Jeb didn't even serve in George W. Bush's administration, and Trump is even worse. So I'm calling it now, beautiful viewers. Vance's political future is dead. He will be tossed to the side by the Republican Party like an old couch. On the other hand, maybe Vance actually wanted to be treated that way. You've heard of bimbofication. Maybe Vance has an upholsteryification kink. It would explain a lot. This is the David Reddish Show.